Why use implicit return with JavaScript arrow functions? Imagine writing code that's both quick to type and easy to read. That's exactly what using implicit return with arrow functions can do for your JavaScript. When you work with functions in JavaScript, especially in web development, clarity and brevity matter a lot. Arrow functions are a modern way to write functions more concisely than traditional function expressions. With arrow functions, if your function only has one expression, you can skip the curly braces and the word return. This is called implicit return. For example, instead of writing a function that returns the square of a number like this, function x, return x times x, you can write it as x is equal to x times. The arrow automatically returns the value of that expression. This makes your code shorter and easier to understand at a glance. Using implicit return is especially helpful when working with array methods like map, filter, or reduce. These methods often requiring simple functions that return a value based on each item in the array. For instance, if you want to create a new array with the squares of numbers, you can write const squares is equal to numbers, map n is equal to n asterisk n. Notice how clean and straightforward that looks. No need for extra lines or return statements cluttering your code. Sometimes you might want to return an object from an arrow function. Since curly braces are used for both objects and function blocks, you need to wrap the object in parentheses. For example, to return a user object with name and age, you'd write const getUser is equal to name, Alice, age 30. The parentheses tell JavaScript that you're returning an object literal, not a block of code. Understanding when to use implicit return helps you write more efficient code. It encourages you to focus on what your functions do, rather than how much syntax they requiring. But remember, if your function needs multiple statements or side effects, you'll need to use curly braces and an explicit return. In web development, mastering this feature makes your code cleaner and more expressive. It's a handy tool for functional programming patterns, especially when chaining array methods. It also helps you avoid unnecessary boilerplate, making your code easier to maintain and debug. So, the reason to use implicit return with arrow functions is simple. It cuts down on clutter, speeds up your coding, and keeps your functions focused on their main task. Just keep in mind the rules for returning objects, and you'll be using arrow functions like a pro in no time.